Hello, this is Christy Fulk with Create with Christy. Those of you that tried to watch live this weekend, I am so sorry. I'm beginning to really think it is my computer now. I checked my internet and the speeds were up like they were supposed to be, unless it's going in and out, and that's a possibility too, and I don't think there's any way I can figure that out. But I'm going to work on this really hard this week and try to figure out what's going on so that way I can definitely go live again next week. But this is the second best thing I can do. I'm recording this now, and I'm going to put it up as a premiere. So you'll see that post here later tonight. And then at 8 o'clock here tonight Eastern time, the video will go live, and I'll be sitting here watching it with you. If you have any questions or want to make any comments, we can interact by chatting back and forth through the comments. I'll type answers and responses and stuff on YouTube and on Facebook. And then if you watch this after the premiere is over, then you can just still comment below and I'll check periodically to answer any questions you've got. Okay, so let's go ahead. I'm going to treat this just like my lives. So we're going to switch screens here. And I want to talk to you about Paper Pumpkin. This is the 7th anniversary Paper Pumpkin kit. Your last chance to get it. I won't be talking about this one next week because it'll be too late to get it by then. You've got till Tuesday, March 10th to subscribe. As you can tell, it's called Joys of Spring. So we do know it's going to be a spring set, and it's going to be note card size cards. 12 cards, 4 cards, 3 designs each. And you can see the colors are listed. So I think it's going to be a really pretty, neat set. And all Paper Pumpkin kits come with an exclusive stamp set. And that stamp set is what you use to make the cards in the kit. But there's going to be an additional free stamp set this month to celebrate the 7th anniversary of Paper Pumpkin. And it's going to be larger than the regular stamp sets that come in Paper Pumpkin. And it's also going to coordinate with that little Paper Pumpkin stamp set. So you'll be able to make a lot of different projects once your cards are done, because you'll have 2 stamp sets that go together. So pretty cool. So if you want to subscribe, make sure you subscribe in the link description. There's a link in the description that you can click on to subscribe, and make sure you do that by March 10th. And then we've got some more things that sold out during Sale-A-Bration. Sale-A-Bration ends on March 31st, but everything is while supplies last. About a week or 2 ago, the metallic baker's twine and kerchief card kits sold out. But then 2 days ago, the Golden Honey Specialty Designer Series paper sold out also. And I know that one was really popular. So if you've got some favorites in the Sale-A-Bration catalog, both the first release and the second release, you better hurry because they could sell out before March 31st. Don't wait till the end to get your order placed. And there's beautiful flowering foil designer series paper in the second release. I have a funny feeling that one's going to sell out quickly. I've been seeing it everywhere. And I did a little card on that in my live last week. But if you want to see the Sale-A-Bration products, they're still available. There is a link in the description to see all the Sale-A-Bration products. And one more thing. I've got my stamp camp figured out for next week. I have all the cards made. I announced this in my newsletter last week when it was going to be, but then got the cards made and or actually picked out. These were cards I'd already made in previous lives. So if you're one of my local gals and want to come, please let me know by Tuesday. The price is $20, and it's Thursday night, March 12th. The afternoon session starts at 2, and the evening session starts at 6:30. So like I said, it is $20. Everything is included, including the adhesive and the envelopes. And if you place a $60 order at the camp or before the camp, you'll get to come free. And there is a host code, and I don't see that. I'm going to put that in the description too. I'll put the host code for the stamp camp in the description. I meant to have that on the screen and it didn't show up. Okay, let's go ahead and start with the cards. Get my light turned back on here. It tends to be a little too shiny on my face, so I thought I'd turn it off while I was on that scene. Okay, I'm going to start off with a purple card. I'm going to be using Highland Heather cardstock. This is 8.5 by 5.5 piece. I'm going to fold this in half. Oh, and I do want to show you, all these cards are going to be showcasing a Sale-A-Bration stamp set and punch. So let me hurry up and show you that really quick. Here's the Thoughtful Bloom stamp set. All my cards today will be made with this stamp set. And I love that it's got greetings. I'm using all 3 greetings since I'm making 3 cards. I thought I'd make one for each greeting. And you can get this free with the $50 order. That's before shipping and tax. And this is United States prices I'm quoting. because you can only order from me if you live in the United States per Stampin' Up! Rules. So this you can get free with a $50 order, and it is a photopolymer stamp set. That means it's clear. And then we've got this punch that coordinates with it, and you can get this free with a $100 order, and that's before shipping and tax. So if you place a $150 order, you can get them both at the same time, or you can spread it out over the month and place a $100 order now or later and a $50 order now or later. And okay, now we can get going. That was the main thing that's going to be unique. So this is my 8.5 by 11 Highland Heather piece, folded in half. Put that over to the side. Now I'm going to bring in a piece of Whisper White. This one is a 3 3/4 by 5. I'm going to bring in a Stampin' Pierce mat and a piece of grid paper. I'm going to start doing some stamping. This one's going to turn into a brick wall eventually. It's a really neat technique. I like this a lot. So I'm going to take this big leaf stamp here and grab my Pear Pizzazz ink pad. Got a ton of ink pads here in front of me. So hopefully I'll keep them all straight. And I'm going to stamp one right here. Let's see. Yeah, that looks pretty good. I want to look on my screen so I can see where I'm stamping. Since I'm at an angle, it's hard to see sometimes. And let's turn it a little bit. Let's go this way on this one. Okay. And then let's go this way with this one. I like to go different directions with them. Okay. So that's ready to go. That's all done with the Pear Pizzazz. Now I'm going to grab this little flower. And this one I'm going to use, let's see, my Pool Party ink pad. Get that out. And tap lightly. Now I have found with photopolymer, you don't want to push too hard into the ink pad, just tap. It actually starts to remove the ink off the stamp if you push too hard, especially on these ones that don't have any texture. This is just a bold stamp set. So I'm going to stamp these little flowers everywhere there are little stems coming out that don't have leaves on them. I keep doing that. I love this color combo. I think I'm using Highland Heather, Gorgeous Grape, and the Pool Party. And Pear Pizzazz, of course. Okay, there's another one there. So like I said, just wherever I can find a little branch coming out that doesn't have any leaves on it. I thought this was a cute stamp set the first time I looked at it, but boy, when I started making these cards with it, I'm like, oh, there's a stamp I didn't know was in there. There's just so many little stamps. I mean, I've got so many stamps over here, it's crazy that I'm going to be using on these cards. So a lot of different looks you can get with this stamp set. It's a really good deal getting it free with a $50 order. And then having that punch with it too. I'll be using the punch on all the cards also. It's neat to be able to punch out the bigger flowers. Okay, I think I got them all. So that's all the Pool Party I'm going to be using. So I'll go ahead and close that up. I don't want the ink to get dry. Now I'm going to take this. This is one of the stamps I said, oh, I didn't realize that was in there. It's kind of like a little branch. I don't know if you can see that. I'll kind of put it over the dark. So I'm going to take my Pear Pizzazz again. And wherever there's not a flower, because this one's kind of a section, like this has a flower sticking out, so wherever you see these two little curls, I think that's how I did it. Yeah. So when you see these two little curls together, kind of put that in the middle. See, there's some more curls there. So I'll put that there. So I'm kind of lining it, the bottom up so it doesn't go inside the circle, because I'm going to be putting a flower right there in that opening. And there are the two circles there, or two curls there, I mean. Stamp that there. So that's all ready. Then, got this neat little dot set. Looks probably maybe hibiscus or something like that. And I'm going to do that with Gorgeous Grape. Actually, it look more like berries. That's true. If it's hibiscus, it would look more like a flower. So I'm inking that up with the Gorgeous Grape, and it actually lines up. It's a little hard to do it when you can't get your head over it. There, actually, that was a lot easier than I thought it would be. When I made it without having to worry about getting away the camera, it was real easy to line up. So really the trick, those top three If you can line those up with the top 3 stems, the rest of it lines up with no problem. So isn't this cool? I love having those berries. Okay. Nope, I'm gonna have to use the grape again, so I'll leave that right here, but get that one out of the way. Now I'm going to take a piece of Whisper White. This is just a long strip. You can grab a scrap, but this one just happens to be 6 inch by 1 because I figured I could get everything on there. So I'm going to be using the bold stamp, and whenever you stamp these and you're going to punch them, make sure, let me get over the dark, maybe you can see it better. Make sure that one of the petals is pointing straight up, and that way it'll line up in the punch a lot easier. So I'm going to bring in, yep, I'm doing Highland Heather. Make sure, no, that's Gorgeous Grape. I almost went with the wrong purple. It would have been okay, but it looks better with the Highland because I haven't used that one yet. Ink that up. I'm going to stamp 3 flowers. So there's 1, 2, and always hold it down for a few seconds. And once again, I'm just tapping because this is another bold stamp and you don't want that ink to come off. There's the 3, and now I'm going to do the Congratulations, and that's going to be in the Gorgeous Grape. I'm going to do it down here. Okay. I think that's all the stamping I'm doing on this one. So I can close all these ink pads. I won't be using these again, so I'm going to get them out of the way so I've got more room to work. Because I'm afraid I'm going to run out of, have you ever worked on something and you start losing, you've got this big space to work on, and as you're working it gets smaller and smaller and smaller. Well, I don't want to do that here in the video. So, okay, now while I've got that done, I'll go ahead and grab the small balloon punch. I'm going to angle it to me first, and then I will put it in the screen so you can see it. So see how easy that is to line up? Just pop that out. I'm going to put these little guys in my dish so I don't lose them. Do this again, angle it, there we go. As you can see, I've got 2 dishes out now because I usually put my dies in one, and I decided, oh, I forgot I had that other one. So now I can put my die cuts in there, or punches, not lose them. This is also going to be punched out, and this is going to be punched out with an old punch that we've had for quite a while. This is the classic label punch, and the Congratulations fits perfectly in this, like so. And there's another dice set that I'm going to be using on every card. It just so happened I would try to limit the number of products I use because then I wouldn't have room for it all. I'm using the Stitched Nested Labels dies. These are in the annual catalog. And let's see, the one I'm going to be using, I wrote it down, the 3rd smallest. So this is the smallest. So this is the 2nd. So this would be the 3rd smallest. And I think that's the only die I'm using on this card. So I'll put that in that dish. Now I'm going to grab, getting ahead of myself here. Oh, it's time to get the die cutting machine out. I didn't want to, and let's put that Congratulations in there so I don't lose it. Move some things around here. Get the die cutting machine in here so you can see it. That looks pretty good. And I'm going to take a piece of Gorgeous Grape. You can use a scrap, but this one is 2 3/4 by 1 3/4. I'm going to grab this die cut that out. And you'll see something neat using that classic label punch with this 3rd smallest die in the Stitch Nested Labels. It's almost like they're made for each other. I was excited when I figured that out. Okay, it's all the die cutting, but I am going to be doing some embossing. I'm using the brick and mortar folder. Love this folder. Now, the trick with this, like I said, I was going to turn this into a brick wall. You always want to stamp before you emboss. That's the trick, because once you emboss, you can't stamp on it. Now, I don't want the bricks going this way, because this is going to be a portrait card, so I'm going to turn it this way, so they're going the right direction. And I love this line here. I'm just going to line the side of that paper up so I know it's straight. Grab the platform I need, and these are one of the new 3D folders. So you always go fold first. So I'm going to need our blue embossing plate. This one's too narrow, actually, too thin to work. Run that through. I love our new 3D embossing folders because they emboss even better than the ones we had last year. Now we've got that brick wall effect with the flowers. So it's like having vines growing on your brick wall outside. I love that effect. I keep forgetting to use that. I've done that before, but it's been a while. So, okay, we'll get this out of the way for now. Trying to put things back so I can find them quicker. Okay, now I'm going to take a piece of Gorgeous Grape. This is a 3 7/8 by 5 1/8. And I'm going to put this right on the center because it's embossed. Grab my multi-purpose glue because this works better than the snail on the embossed layers. I use snail on everything else, but when I work with an embossed layer, I grit my glue out. Let's put that right in the center. And I only made it, the Gorgeous Grape piece, 1/8 of an inch wider and longer because I only wanted a narrow border around here. Normally I do a 1/4 inch bigger both ways, but this time I just wanted to do 1/8. Okay, now I'm going to put this on my card base. So if you ever want, like purples, and you want 2 different shades that coordinate in Stampin' Up! Colors, Highland Heather and Gorgeous Grape go really good together. So there, now we've got that there. Now I'm going to start putting some flowers on. We'll do the greeting last. Doesn't really matter, but I thought I'd do it that way. Now I need to find my glue dots. There we go. I just think these are little, actually, take that back. I want these to curl a little bit, so this is a little trick. You can do it with just your fingers, but I think it's easier. I am taking a petal, putting it up against my bone folder, taking my thumb, and what it does, it breaks the fibers in the paper and makes them curl. So I want these to curl up a little bit to look a little more realistic. So I don't know if you can tell, but they're curled up now. So I hope and do that with all of them. Go a little faster with these others since I'm not explaining it anymore. And you can actually do a couple at a time and still manipulate them to where you want them after you get them on the card. But you want to do this first because, like I said, it breaks the fibers up and makes them a lot easier. You don't get those folds. Like when you do it with your finger, you start getting little creases in it because you're actually folding it. When you use the bone folder, you don't have the creases anymore. So now I'm going to put a glue dot on right in the center. Like so. I think you can see that. Put this on, kind of angle it so where you can still see everything. Okay. This one in the middle. That looks pretty good. And one more. Boy, I hope I can get the lives going because I like interacting with you guys while I'm making these. But we'll be able to do that while we're watching the video together. Okay, so now I can just kind of curl those a little bit since they're a little more, they're easier to use now since I used the bone folder on them. Very cool. I don't know if you can see how they're, yeah, you can see that a little bit. Now, I thought they needed more than that. I could have just left them like that. But I was going through my embellishments and I totally forgot about these noble peacock rhinestones. Sometimes in the live videos, it's hard to tell what all the colors are. And I can't remember them off the top of my head right now, but I know these are Gorgeous Grape. These look like they're Bermuda Bay, Granny Apple Green. I bet that's Flirty Flamingo. And these, I can't remember, Pretty Peacock. I think is what these are. Or it could be the other way around. But yeah, I know one of them's Pretty Peacock. So what I'm going to do, since I'm using the Gorgeous Grape color, I want to use these smaller, because they're different sizes as you can see. I'm going to grab one of the small ones and I'm going to put it right in the center. So I've got a Gorgeous Grape center on my Highland Heather flower. Sometimes this little spatula does not like to get under these rhinestones. There we go. Sometimes I'll use the spatula and sometimes I use my, there we go, my the paper piercer side. Sometimes that actually works better. So now we've got a little bling. See if I can get, yeah, you can see the glitter a little bit. Now we're going to put on the greeting. Bring in, because we're going to do a little stamping. Oh, there it is. I forgot where I put this. Bring in my Stampin' Pierce mat and my label. And what I'm going to do there is this neat border stamp. Let me bring it up a little bit so you can see it. I'm going to, oh, I forgot I am stamping. I need my Gorgeous Grape again. Good thing I had it on the top of the stack. So this is the Gorgeous Grape cardstock, and I'm stamping with Gorgeous Grape ink. And what I'm doing, I'm kind of lining the bottom edge of the stamp with the bottom edge of the label, maybe just a little above it. Yeah, just a little bit above it, like a hair. But that makes it so it stays straight. So now I've got one going across there, and that even made it so it's still within the stitching. If it's above it, that's okay. Line it up again. It's a nice thing about photopolymer. I love that. So there we go. So we've got a neat little effect on there. Now here's the part I was telling you, which I thought was kind of cool. Didn't realize it till I put this card together. This little congratulations guy, let me go ahead and put some adhesive on it. Just put some on each end. These points go right within the stitched points right here. They'll line up perfectly. So you have that point go just over that stitch. And see how perfect that is? I don't know if they did that intentionally, but it works. And I really liked having that label on there. It looked too plain before I did that when I made the card earlier. So now I've got a neat label to put on there. I'm going to put it on with dimensionals. I'll just grab, let's see, I think one on each end will be fine because this isn't too big of a label. And then I'm going to bring my card back in. And voila, I got this empty spot. Oops. Try to get a little piece of cardstock I had on there. Don't want it, it's okay if you do cover up a few flowers. Originally I was going to put it up here, but I like it better if it's down just a little bit. So there we go. So there's the first card. Now I am still doing, even though this isn't a live, it's recorded, I'm still going to do my prize. If you share the video and comment shared below in Facebook and on YouTube, you'll get put in a drawing to win the cards I'm making today. So this is going to be one of the cards here that you'll win. You'll see the other two here in a minute. But make sure you comment shared, because I'm not going to know you shared it unless you do that. And also, now that I'm speaking of that, I forgot to do the drawing for last week. I had a few people share my cards from last week. Let me get hold of this. I'm going to show you what I made. These are the cards I made last week. So everybody that shared and commented shared last week got put in the drawings. So let me get that. See who's going to win this week. Always got to stir them up really good. Okay, winner is Diana Billsland. Hope you were watching this afternoon. Congratulations. So I'll make sure I get these to you as soon as possible. So I'll kind of put these over to the side. So congratulations, Diana. So if you've got until next Thursday, which is March 12th, to share today's video and comment shared below. And then on next Friday, hopefully live next week, I'll draw the winner of the cards I'm making today. So, okay, now we're ready for the second card. And I need a piece of early espresso. And this is the 8.5 by 5.5 like usual. I'm going to fold that in half. Okay. There are a few things we can go ahead and put together before we start doing some stamping. This is a piece of Petal Pink. I did a live not too long ago where I just featured Petal Pink. This is one of my favorite colors. This is a 4 by 5.25. Make sure, sometimes there's a little blemish on the side. Like that looks like it has a little blemish. So I think I'll have that be on my back. You never know. Even when there's nothing on it, I'll look on both sides to see which one looks the best. Put that in the center, like so. And then a piece, I grabbed some designer paper I haven't used for ages. This is the Magnolia Lane Designer Series paper from the annual catalog. Always loved this paper. I'm glad I thought of it. I've been so centered on the mini catalogs lately. Don't want to forget about the annual catalog because it's a good catalog. Okay, I'm going to put this over here. There's still some things I would love to get. I haven't been able to get out of that one. Usually by this point, I've got everything I want out of the annual catalog, but not this year. There's just too many. Okay, so that's ready to go. I'm going to go ahead and stamp that greeting too. So I'm going to use a little thank you greeting. Normally I would have done that before I put the petal pink on the card, but that's okay. This is still going to work. So open this up. I better grab this because I know I don't want to mess it up since it's already glued on. Make sure it's inked up again. And stamp the thank you right there. There we go. So now we've got the greeting on. It's important to get that down first. You'll understand why, because you got a bunch of things to place around. Okay, there's only a little bit more stamping we have to do. Let's see here. Tell you what, let's just go ahead and get the die cutting done first. I just remember I need to do that before I do some stamping, which normally isn't the case. Normally you stamp before you die cut. Let me get all my pieces here. Okay, there we go. And I'm going to be using another size of the nested labels. This one is the third largest. So this is the largest, second, so this is the one I'm using. And I'm going to take a piece of Whisper White. This is a 2.5 by 4.5 piece. This will go on like so. I'll die cut this out. And this is all we're going to need to die cut for this card. There's not a lot of die cutting on this one. I'm using punches more on this one. Okay. Put that in my little dish. Now I'm going to bring in, let's see here, a piece of petal pink. Oh, I forgot to do the inside of my purple card. We'll do that here in a minute. But now I've got a piece of 3.5 by 1 of the petal pink, and I'm going to do the flowers. I'm going to use a different flower on this one. There are 2 flowers in this set that coordinate with that small bloom punch. It's the bold one we used earlier, and then one that's lined. This one's got some lines in it. You'll be able to see it better. And like I said, always make sure you've got a petal pointing up. So I'm doing petal pink on petal pink cardstock. You can see I do that a lot using the same color ink as the cardstock. So we're going to stamp 3. Oop, that one I got too high. Got them both a little too high. Let's go the other side. There we go. I love having 2 sides of cardstock. There we go. So we've got 3 flowers. I'm not sure if you can see that or not. See if I can get that up a little bit. We've got some flowers. Lives are always a little harder to get good impressions. Okay, go ahead and punch those out. I'll ink them a little bit so you can see. I'm not sure if you can see the stamping part or not. In person, it looks great. I've also got a computer that doesn't have the best screen. Next time I get a computer, I'm going to make sure it's got a better resolution. This one's not bad, it just isn't highest it could be, and sometimes it's hard for me to tell what the pictures are going to look like. Okay, so got that taken care of. Flowers are done. Now I'm bringing out something else from the annual catalog I haven't used for a while. The hot air balloon punch, and I'm going to be using it to make a vase. So I'm grabbing a scrap piece of early espresso. All I need is this big piece here. I don't need these, so I'll go ahead and get these out of the way. And I'll put that in there. Oh, I am going to get the die cutting machine out again. I'm going to do some embossing. Okay, so we've got that done. Yep. Oh, wait a minute. I totally forgot this. I can do this now. It would have been easier to do it before I punched it. But there's this little circle. It's like a little flower. It's got little dots. It makes a little flower center. So I'm going to bring in the early espresso ink pad. Like I said, it is easier to do this before you punch, but it's still possible to do it. There we go. Do it right in the flower center. There we go. I told you there are a lot of really neat stamps in this stamp set. Okay, so now my flowers are ready to go. Let's see here. Okay, we're going to go ahead and bring the die cutting machine in again because I need to emboss my vase. I didn't want it to just be a regular early espresso color. I'm going to be using the 10 tile embossing folder. This one is from the annual catalog. And I'm kind of making it so the this fat part of the vase is within one of these squares in the embossing folder. And it's a little easier to do it on the bottom one. I'm just making sure that bottom image is on the edge of the cardstock. It's easier to be able to hold on to it, and when you squeeze it, it stays in place. Now this one I bought last year. The trick is whenever you see the company that made it last year, you're going to use one of our regular cutting mats. Let me see if I can get a hold of it. When you buy them this year new, because you can buy this one in the new version, and you'll use that blue embossing plate I used in the other one. But I bought this one last year when it was new. And now I've got this really neat embossed vase. Didn't that make it look neater? Really like that. Now we're done with the die cutting machine on this one. Okay. Now I'm going to stamp an inside to this, and that's what I forgot to do on the other card. I'll do that once we're done here. Make sure I got the right, actually they're both the same size, that's right. This is a 3 3/4 by 5 inch piece. Let's see, I put my, oh, there it is. Forgot where I put my Stampin' Pierce mat at. Like I said, I start throwing things around when I'm making these many cards in one video. Okay, we are going to take, I need to look and see what I did. Oh yeah, there is a stem right here. I'm going to use Mossy Meadow. This is the green that's in the Designer Series paper. I'm going to stamp a stem right down here in the corner, like so. And then I'm going to grab this little trio leaf and put some leaves on this branch. Try to connect it to the stem. There we go. And I'm going to bring in this bold one. Oh, this one I need to clean since I'm using some of these stamps over again. That still had Highland Heather on it. Now I'm going to grab my Petal Pink again and stamp this flower right there on the stem. There we go. So now we've got a little flower for the inside. And we'll go ahead and attach that now before I put it somewhere and lose it. So I am so good at that. Now this one's a little smaller than I normally do, but that's okay. Sometimes I like having a wider border around it. So there's the inside of the card. Oops, I got a little green on it. That's okay. We'll get it covered up pretty good anyway. Okay, now I've got my flowers. Now I'm gonna show you how I put flowers in my vase. Now I'm gonna want this down a little bit. I want it hanging over the bottom of this a little bit. So I'm just laying it down. I'm not attaching it. Giving myself an idea where it's gonna go. Oh, I need to bring that Mossy Meadow back in. I don't know why I closed that up. And now what I'm gonna do, hold that down in place. Okay, that's where I'm going to want it, my stem. Move the vase out of the way. Oops, there we go. So we've got that in place. Make sure I didn't just turn it upside down. Nope, that's right. Now, yeah, that's right. Okay. Now, I kind of have an idea. I'm going to have them intersect here. So that way, and this one is going to come down just a little bit. I want them to be a little shorter than that first one. So I just want to always make sure though that they intersect here at the bottom, because then when I put this on, I know that they're going to be right in the vase. Okay. Now, a little higher up than the where they intersect. Oop, I need to clean this off, because that's with another green. There we go. Actually, that was the right green. Oh, well, that's all right. I was thinking I used this on the other card, and it was the inside of this card. There we go. So I'm putting them on the outside. So then we'll have some leaves coming out of my vase too. So what I'm going to do, this bottom half is kind of going to be hanging off of that. And with this being embossed again, I'm going to use my glue. I'm just going to put glue here on the top half. maybe a little below top half, so about like that. Then I can place that right there. Make sure it's straight. Looks pretty good. Hold it down. Okay. Now I think I'm going to go ahead and attach this to the card. I'm all done stamping, so we'll close that. Bring this in. Since this is not embossed at all, well, I've got the glue out. I'll go ahead and use it, but I could have used snail with this since this isn't embossed. But since I got the glue out, I'll go ahead and do it. And I will put this right here. I'll tell you what, since there's that little green blemish, I will give whoever shares the video and wins this my original, because there's no green thing there. I can mess with that and play with it later. But there's that. Now I'm going to bring my little flowers in. Let's go ahead and close this up because I don't want it getting all messed up. I'm going to grab my glue dots again. Now these I didn't fold up. If you want to have them fold up some, that's fine. Especially these two bottom ones. They're going to be covered up here in a minute by the other flower. You just want to make sure you line it up with your stem. Here's this one. Like so. And this last one I'm going to put on with a dimensional. And the big ones do work. They just fit inside there. This one I probably would still use this, even if I had my mini ones out, I would think it might wobble a little bit too much. Now this one's going to go over that top stem, middle stem I mean, but it's also going to go over the other flowers a little bit. So that's almost it. I almost stopped when I made these yesterday with that, but I thought, oh, it needs a little something else. So I grabbed the petal pink metallic edged ribbon. This is from the mini catalog that's out right now. It's a 4-inch piece. All I'm going to do is tie it in a single knot and try to keep that little knot a little fat. I'm not going to do it too tight. And this time, normally I have the knot go, have these go up and down, up instead of down. I thought it would look better down this time. So I'm going to grab a glue dot. Lost my train of thought there for a second. And I'm just going to put it right here on the top of my vase. Bring my scissors in. Cut them at an angle. And make them even too. There we go. Now it's done. Didn't that ribbon just set it off? Makes it look so much better. So there's another card that you get if you share my video and comment shared below. And now we're ready for the last one. Oh, take that back. We are going to do the inside of this purple one before I forget again. I decided to do an inside on all of these just to have some fun with it. So I'm going to bring this back in. I don't need to clean it because I'm going to use the same colors I did before. I'll need to clean it for my next card. What I'm going to do, just kind of put this one down here like so. Then I'm going to stamp my little, it's actually going to do kind of what I did on the front of the card. And take the little flowers here, wherever there's a little stem coming up without any leaves. That's where I'm stamping my little blue flowers. Okay, this one I could do a little better. Let's see if I can line that up. There we go. See, these are pretty easy to line back up again. I love that. Is that it? I was thinking I had one. Oh, yeah, there's one more. I was thinking it was 5 flowers, but I wasn't sure. There we go. So we've got those all on. Now I'm going to do another one of those little stems where the 2 swirls are showing. Put that there. So I'm just redoing what I did on the front of the card. Now we're done with the pear pizzazz. Bring in my gorgeous scrape to do the little berries. If I can find, there we go. Like I said, so many stamps. Turn this upside down so I can line it up. Line those top 3. There we go. And I don't want this raised up, a flower raised up, because this is the inside of the card. So I'm just going to take my Highland Heather and kind of stamp it like so. There we go. So that gives you a nice little inside embellishment to decorate the inside of your card. And we'll take the snail. And put this in the middle. I can't remember if I said the size. This is another one that's 3 3¾ by 5. There we go, because that's the same size as this. When I do classes, I try to make, if there's a big white layer on the outside, try to make it the same size on the inside so they don't get mixed up which one to use. So that's why that one's a little smaller. So there we go. Now we've got that one done. So I'd forgotten the inside. Now we're ready for the last card. Get some things together for that. This one doesn't take a lot of cardstock colors. I am using the thick Whisper White, and I always score this. Normally I use my scoring tool, but I don't have that handy right now, so we'll use this. This is an 8½ by 5½, so the halfway mark is at 4¼ With a thick cardstock, the thick Whisper White or the thick vanilla, you need to score it first because it doesn't like to fold unless you do that score. So there's my score line. I don't know if you can see that or not, but now it'll fold a whole lot easier. There we go. Our regular cardstock, you can fold without doing that. This one you definitely need to do that for. So I'll put that over to the side. Now I'm getting a piece of regular very vanilla. It's 4 by 5¼ Bring this in. I'm going to do some cleaning, so I'm going to use some of these stamps again. Okay, I'm using this one. I knew I needed to clean this one. Looking at my card, we're using this big leaf one again. I'm going to make sure I clean them now, because once I get going, I might forget. And I've got my little flower here. I think that's it. Yes. So all those can go over. I am using a greeting, but we haven't used that one yet, so I don't need to clean it. Okay, now what I'm going to do, I'm going to take this border and take a Night of Navy ink pad. Ink that up. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to line the edge. Okay, the point's in the second one. I'm not going to do the first one. I'm going to do that because it looks a little different. I just did it with the second one. Those points on each end of that, I'm going to line those up with the edge of the cardstock. Kind of bring it up a little bit. If I get those points right on the edge of the cardstock, that makes it so this stamp's even or straight. I'm going to pop it up a little higher, line it up the same way, and then stamp it. So this makes it so you have them straight and it looks pretty uniform. There we go. So I've got that nice border right there. Now I'm going to take, let's get this out of the way, my crumb cake ink pad and a stamping sponge. And I'm going to just sponge all over this because I want to get like a vintage kind of look, a rustic look actually. It's more rustic than vintage. And there we go. That way I don't have just a plain vanilla background. There we go. Oops. Don't want to get ink on that. I'll just keep this out because I'm going to need to do that. Okay, now we're ready to get the die cutting machine out one last time. We're going to do a little die cutting one. See, I don't know if it's this one. Is this the one I'm using? Oh, no. We're not going to use this one. Like I said, I'm using the stitch nested dies on all of them. I'm using the second largest. So this is the one I'm using here. Put that in there. Now I'll bring this in. I'm going to do some embossing with the subtle folder. This is one I bought last year, as you can see. So I'll be using this instead of the embossing plate. I want the the textured part of the embossing to go up vertically. Oops. So I'm lining the bottom of that line, my cardstock with that line. I love the subtle folder. This is one you see me use a lot. Love making my own textured paper. We used to sell textured paper. We don't need to do that anymore now that we've got this embossing folder. So I don't know if you can see that, but it's really neat look, really neat effect. Love that folder. Okay, now we're gonna hurry up and die cut. Oops, got some paper stuck to this one. Gonna grab another very vanilla piece. This is a 3x5. We'll put that in there like so. Doesn't have to be straight. Unless you want it perfectly centered, then you can save that piece as a window or something for another project. Okay, now we're done with the die cutting machine for the day. Get that out of the way. Okay, so that's ready to go. Out of the way. Okay, bring in my Stampin' Pierce mat again. We're going to do some stamping. Now this was going to be a little different. Normally you make your leaves green. I'm using crumb cake instead. So I'm going to stamp this down here. Let's see, how do I want to do this? I'm looking at the one I've made. I think it was this. Yep, this is the way I did it. I'm going to put this down here at the bottom, and it's going to be hanging off the edge down here, as you can see. Let me get this up a little higher, maybe you can see better. But it is hanging off a little bit, like so. Then I'm going to do another one, kind of like this. Yeah. I was thinking I stamped this 3 times, I only stamped it twice. So put that there. There we go. So we've got those stamped. Now I'm going to bring in my little flowers. I'm going to use Balmy Blue for these flowers. And once again, I'm going to find all of those stems that are just sticking up with no leaves. So we used Pool Party last time. These are Balmy Blue. Pool Party has a little green in the blue. And these are just like a baby blue. Very pretty color. And the other blue I'll be using is the Night of Navy. And so Balmy Blue and Night of Navy look really nice together. So I'm just doing that on all of those little stems. Some may get covered up, I'm not sure. But just to be on the safe side, I want to make sure I have all of them stamped. And this one's kind of off a little bit. I might see if I can get like a partial flower on there. There we go. So that's ready to go. And I'm going to go ahead. Oops, help if I did the right side. I'm looking up at my card instead of looking at what I was doing. I'm going to bring in the greeting. Bring in my early espresso. I'm going to stamp it over here. I want to do this before I put some dark blue flowers, pinched out flowers on, because I don't want to cover up my words. It's okay, and this is what I intended, for it to stamp over some of the flowers. That was the look I was going for. Ooh, it looks like I need to ink up my early espresso. That's kind of, I think that might have been one of my ink pads. It doesn't like to close sometimes, and I don't realize it. So there, that's ready to go. Now we need a piece of Night of Navy. This is a 3.5 by 1. Like I said, you can just use scraps, but at least it's one that's that size. Grab my Night of Navy ink again. I think I've done this on all the cards now, using the same ink color as the cardstock. You might be able to see these a little. Oops! I looked at my screen, but that's okay. That just went on the bottom. Nobody will know the difference except those of you that are watching this video. Yeah, I got a little bush right there, but no big deal. Nobody's gonna see it. But I think you might be able to see the flowers a little better on this one. Yeah, they show up a little better on the blue. They still show up really good in the petal pink. Just the lighting in here is not showing it off very well. So punch all these out like I did in the other cards. Be careful they don't shoot and take your eye out. It sounds like that Christmas story. You'll shoot your eye out. Okay, so there we go. I'm going to get these put in my dish before I lose them. Okay, now I'm going to do the same thing I did on that first card. Take my bone folder. Get these guys folded up a little bit. Oops. We are almost done. I'm sure you're all glad that it's Friday, it's the weekend. Hope you guys all have some fun things planned for this weekend. Just about done. Okay, those look pretty good. Now I'm going to bring in some pearls. These are the Pearl Basic Jewels that are in the annual catalog, and I'm going to be using these bigger ones, but I didn't want them to be this color. What I'm using is the dark Balmy Blue Stampin' Blend. Use the brush tip, and while they're still in the paper, it's a lot easier to color when it's still on the backing. I wanted some light blue pearls for the center of my flowers. Just like so. And if you ever want to darken them up a little bit, let them dry for a few seconds and go over them again. And I mean a few seconds because that was me waiting long enough. If you do it right afterward, they're just going to smear the color. But see, that made me some pretty blue pearls. Bring in my Take Your Pick tool. Actually, we're going to put these flowers on first. Getting ahead of myself. Yep, that's what I want to do. So I'm going to take in my glue dots again. These are getting a workout today. It just helps with putting these flowers on. I think they work a lot better. You can use snail, of course. Now what I'm doing, I'm putting one in each center like I've done before, those little centers that are there in between the branches. But usually when you put flowers and stuff on, you use a rule of 3. And I didn't really have room to stamp any. Oops, I did not put. Oh, this is one where I got ink on the back, so the cardstock's falling apart. Maybe it is going to make a difference. Okay, now let's put on another glue dot. I think this one will work. There we go, perfect. There. That wouldn't have happened if I hadn't got the ink on there. Now it's staying on there just fine. Got the cardstock a little too moistened with that ink. Perfect now. So I'm going to put one right here because there's this little empty spot right here. Actually kind of put it to cover up that leaf so it looks like it's on a stem coming out from there, because we don't need that leaf to be showing. It's okay if that gets covered up. So we'll put that on right over that leaf. And that's ready to go. And now I'm going to put this whole thing on with dimensionals again. So the first card I actually didn't use dimensionals, but I made up for it by using them on the rest of the cards. And because this is a big piece, I put in each corner like I usually do. I think I'm going to go ahead and put one here in the middle. Oops, just one in the middle. Get the paper backing off of this. Actually, let's go ahead and put this on the card first. So we'll grab, since it's embossed again, grab my trusty multi-purpose glue. Now this one being subtle, it's not major embossing, so it probably would be okay with the snail, but I still like to be on the safe side, make sure it stays glued down. And that's just going to go in the center of my thick, very vanilla card base. Okay. Now we can take the backing. I'm going to put a lid on this. I have kept that off before. Had a hard time getting it to work the next time. Get all of these off quick. And then I'm going to put it right here. Now you can see why it was okay for that border to be a little short, because I'm covering up the ends. There we go. Now we're going to put those pretty pearls on, and it's just going to make the flowers pop. Because right now they look fine, but they need something to pop. So I'm going to grab this one. There we go. Like I said, the vanilla would have looked fine, but since we've got so much vanilla on this card already, I wanted to color them. Oops, did I not get the... No, it's just sticking to my finger. I thought I didn't get the glue dot, the adhesive on the back. There we go. I love being able to color my pearls with the Stampin' Blends. But see, didn't the pearls just make that pop? Oh, I love that. Okay, so that was the last card. I hope you enjoyed today's live video. Let me hurry up and show the cards again. So if you comment, shared, if you like this video, please share it. And if you do, comment shared below by next Thursday, March 12th, and you'll get put in the drawing to win these cards that I just made. So I hope you enjoyed it today. I know it wasn't my usual life. I'm really hoping I get all the technical difficulties figured out for next week. I have a feeling it's my computer. Hope it isn't. That's an expensive thing, but we'll see. So I hope you have a great weekend, and I'll see you next Friday. And those of you on YouTube, I am recording some other videos. I'm going to have recorded videos very soon. I've made one this afternoon. I just need to edit it. But if you're watching on Facebook and don't know about my YouTube channel, there's a link for it below in my description. You can click on that. Make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel, and then click the little bell that you see next to the subscribe button. And that will make it so you get notifications whenever I post a video. So that way you won't miss any. So once again, I hope you have a great weekend. See you next week. Bye.